Jake would remember this night for the rest of his life. Tonight, his desire to control had cost him his daughter's life and the love of his wife. Lying in the cold hospital room, Jake could still hear his wife's grief-stricken cry reverberating in his head. Although he hadn't been told yet, he knew Tiffany was dead. Putting a trembling hand to his bandaged forehead, Jake began to sob. His little girl was gone, and it was his fault. Guilt surged out of every pore on his body. None of this was supposed to happen. Jake still couldn't believe he'd allowed himself to get so drunk that he would end up in bed with Sheila. Hell, she was his business partner. Thoughts of that fiasco 3 days ago resurfaced. He could still see the look of devastation on Tori's face when she'd walked in on them in bed. Although Jake had tried to keep her from leaving, his wife would hear none of it. When he'd come home, he'd found Tori and Tiffany gone. She hadn't even bothered to leave a note, but he'd had an idea where to find her. Jake had driven to Charleston, South Carolina, where Tori was staying with her Aunt Kate, and tried to persuade her to give him another chance. All he'd wanted was for Tori to return home with him. When she'd refused earlier tonight, Jake had impulsively grabbed Tiffany, taking her with him. He'd known that if he and Tiffany were back on Edisto Island, Tori would follow. His master plan. Terrible regrets assailed Jake, and a knife-like pain squeezed his heart as he thought of his 15-month-old daughter. Tori had not come to see him yet, and Jake understood why. It was because she blamed him for the death of their only child. Jake sat up gingerly in the bed. He had escaped the car accident with nothing more than a few deep cuts and bruises. It should have been him. He should have been the one to die. Then the realization hit him. He was doomed to live a lifetime of guilt, one where forgiveness would never come. There was a light rap on the hospital door, and a woman stuck her head inside. I came as soon as I heard, she stammered. Concern was etched all over Sheila's face. Tears bordered the eyes of his partner.